What's up, everybody? On today's Unbiased Hard Take, a lot of NFL free agency updates. So we're going to kind of tackle that today, and we'll go kind of position by position on that because the NFL looks a lot different than it did when we did our last video when a lot of trades were happening. So the first few days of NFL, the first wave is what I call it as. Really, the free agency comes in two waves. We're in wave 2 right now. Wave 1's when a lot of the big time stars, the big free agent sign, and then stage 2 is where we're kind of waiting for people like Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Nick Chubb, J.K. Dobbins, things of that nature, Gus Edwards, and Amari Cooper's another one as well. And then wave 3 is when the draft will come, things are kind of really settle down and get kind of dull. So, to tackle wave 1 of free agency, we're going to go by position, excuse me, because Justin Fields signed with the New York Jets, and while JB did a video recently where he said that Justin Fields was the answer in Pittsburgh, and I'll get into Pittsburgh here in a little bit because I don't really understand what they are doing because Russell Wilson currently has still been unsigned. He's visited with the Giants, Browns. Pittsburgh doesn't seem to have really a lot of interest in him. There's a lot of interest with Aaron Rodgers there, but Fields signed with the Jets, and this is a good deal for the Jets because they get a young guy, try something different. But Justin Fields, to go to a lot of it depends on where you go. I firmly believe had Mahomes not went to Kansas City and had he went somewhere like Chicago in the draft, things might look a lot different. And the same with Justin Fields. He went to Chicago. Chicago, as we know, is a quarterback's purgatory. And went there, had moments, highlight reels, things of that nature with his legs, made some plays, but didn't have any success there. Defensive culture, mess. Goes to Pittsburgh, who's tone deaf. So Pittsburgh was a perfect opportunity for Justin Fields. I don't understand what Pittsburgh is doing because instead, with Fields leading him to that great start the regular season, was playing very well. They go from Fields, the young guy, to Russell Wilson, who Russell Wilson did not play better than Justin Fields did this year. So for them to choose Wilson over Fields, and I was convinced that Fields would re-sign in Pittsburgh, for him to go to New York, I don't think that's a very good sign for Justin Fields. Yeah, he does they have a good roster around him. Garrett Wilson's a good player. They have Breece Hall, new head coach, good defense, on paper at least. So, a lot of good things on paper with New York, but it's the Jets. It's the freaking Jets. They'll screw it up somehow. They're going to screw this kid up. His career will be over by the time he leaves New York because that's just what the Jets do is lose. There's no other way around it. So I don't think Justin Fields going to the Jets makes a lot of sense for Justin Fields. It's a good thing for the Jets. Maybe you can have this good young nucleus, maybe grow together, maybe. But let's admit it. Here's my one F word I'm allowed. It's the fucking Jets. They're going to screw it up. I feel bad for Fields here. This doesn't make a lot of sense. If you're wanting to revitalize your career, the Jets are not the place to go. Just saying. Then Daniel Jones signed with the Colts. And here's the reality. There's talk in Indianapolis that, we're going to have a true quarterback competition. If truly Anthony Richardson is truly competing with Daniel Jones here, we have our answer. The Colts have no quarterback. Because Daniel Jones is going to be the one to take the Colts to the playoffs and compete with the Ravens, the Bills, and the Chiefs. That's laughable material. The Colts are going to be in purgatory until they can get their quarterback situation fixed. And then here's the last main one. Actually, I'll say this. Mac Jones signed with the Niners, 2-year, $7 million deal. We could be looking at maybe a Sam Darnold situation here. Maybe Mac Jones can go learn from Kyle Shanahan and revitalize his career, to be determined. And then Mason Rudolph signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers, 2 years, $8 million. And Rudolph's, a couple of years ago, led the Steelers to the playoffs and played a playoff game for him. So he's going to be a good backup quarterback in the league, but me and Jimmy were talking that he's not the answer in Pittsburgh. He's a good backup. Pittsburgh has no starting quarterback in the NFL right now, but they have DK Metcalf now, which we'll get into that here in a little bit. It just makes not a lot of sense. Then we're going to go to the running backs. Aaron Jones re-signed with Minnesota, 2 years, $20 million deal. That's a good signing from him. And here's the biggest, most underrated signing. Najee Harris signed with the Chargers, 1-year deal up to $9.25 million. Chargers get a steal and an improvement over an injury-prone J.K. Dobbins. Najee Harris, multiple years, over 1,000 yards. And in an offense where they have an outstanding offensive line, good quarterback, head coach who likes to run the ball and be physical, Najee Harris could be looking at a breakout year. He might be a fantasy football sleeper as well. And in the running back market, Kareem Hunt re-signed with the Chiefs, so that kind of stabilizes theirs. Miles Sanders signed with the Cowboys for 1 year. And Kyle Juszczyk, fullback, re-signed with the Niners after a short split. More of a cap-freeing thing there, I think. 2 years, $8 million. So then we're going to go to the wide receivers because a lot of wide receiver room here. Cooper Kupp, who I actually wanted Green Bay to kind of target. The Packers did make an offer, but Seattle, which is where he's from, made a better offer. 3 years, $45 million. So I waited for this quarterback news because Sam Darnold signed with the Seahawks after revitalizing his career last year in Minnesota. Still didn't play good in big games, so that's to be monitored. And now they don't have as good as weapons, so we'll see if he regresses a little bit. But good to see Sam Darnold get paid with that 3-year, $100.5 million deal after, of course, we had talked about in our previous video, the Seahawks traded Geno to the Raiders. So to see, now you have Smith-Njigba and Cooper Kupp. If Kupp can stay healthy is the big thing. So Kupp gets to go back home, play with a good quarterback, and has another good receiver beside him. So Seattle will be competitive this year. Devontae Adams signed with the Rams, 2 years, $46 million. And this is going to be an absolutely scary combination with Adams and Puka. Puka's changing his number to 12. Adams will be number 17. Because Adams, even with the clown show Raiders and the clown show Jets, still 1,000 yards every year leaving Green Bay. Still a top 3 receiver in the NFL, hands down. Now you got Matthew Stafford, Super Bowl winning quarterback. You have Williams at running back, a good receiver combo. Sean McVay. Rams Super Bowl contenders. I'm just saying, Rams are Super Bowl contenders. Hollywood Brown re-signed with the Chiefs, 1 year, $11 million. More of a name than productivity, in my opinion. And then DeAndre Hopkins, who's probably best years behind him, signed with the Ravens, 1 year, $5 million. So another weapon for Lamar Jackson to lose with in the playoffs. I mean, that's just the reality of the situation. And then we're going to look at a little bit the tight end position. Not really a lot there. Zach Ertz re-signed. A lot of re-signed there. Hooper, Bates, Ertz, Gesicki, and Juwan Johnson all re-signed with their respective teams. Evan Ingram did sign with the Broncos, 2 years, $23 million. So that's really the only major one of a change. Then, of course, we're going to go to the offensive line, where Josh Myers went to the New York Jets from the Packers. So the Jets seem to be still signing Packer players. That's funny. Will Fries left the Colts, signing with the Vikings for 5 years, $88 million. So a good selection for the Vikings there to protect whoever their quarterback's going to be. McCarthy, rumors of Rodgers. We'll see. Excuse me. And you got Laken Tomlinson signed with the Texans. Robert Jones signed with the Cowboys. And that's really... Aaron Banks, of course, signed with the Packers. We talked about that on Facebook. Packers sort of overpaid for him. 4 years, $77 million. But now, with Myers leaving in free agency, our center, to the Jets, we can now shift over Elkin Jenkins to center. Reports are, and Banks will play our left guard. And, of course, that stabilizes the Green Bay offensive line. You cannot have too many offensive linemen to protect your franchise quarterback we just paid, and Josh Jacobs, who's a top 5 running back in the league. Probably really top 3. So a good signing for the Packers on the offensive line there. Just not a sexy pick. If it was a wide receiver, y'all would be way more excited. But it's a lineman. It's not sexy. It's not going to make massive headlines. But it is a very good selection. He only has allowed 2 sacks in his career. For Christ's sake, he's one of the best pass-protecting guards in the NFL. A top 10 guard. So then moving over to defensive players, Khalil Mack, who's best digit behind him, did re-sign with the Chargers, 1 year, $18 million. Hassan Reddick to the Buccaneers, 1 year, $14 million. Let's see how long it takes for him to come up with an excuse to sit out. He's a quitter, of course, on his teams. Chase Young re-signed with the Saints. I don't really understand a lot of that since they're in cap hell. 3 years, $1 million. They should be really more worried about rebuilding. And, of course, with Von Miller leaving Buffalo, Joey Bosa signed with the Bills, 1 year, $12.6 million. Again, a lot of health concerns there. DeMarcus Lawrence left the Cowboys to the Seahawks, 3 years, $32.41 million. So, a couple of days ago, we were talking about the Seahawks as possibly being a tank team. They have sort of flipped that script. They've rehauled everything. Quarterback, wide receiver room, defensive room. So, Seattle's going to be more competitive than people think. Then we're going to continue on with the defense, obviously, in the defensive backs in the linebacker area, to where you have Devin Bush was signed with the Browns. You had Barton signed with the Titans, 3 years, $21 million. Dre Green signed with the Broncos, 3 years, $35 million. And then, of course, in the cornerback room, where DJ Reed signed with the Lions, 3 years, $48 million. That makes their secondary room a lot more scary. So the Lions getting better in free agency as well. Charvarius Ward with the Colts, 3 years, up to $60 million. They address a secondary that needed addressed from last season because they're going to have to win on defense because Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson aren't going to win games for you in the NFL. It's not going to happen. Byron Murphy re-signed with the Vikings. There, 3 years, $66 million. Carlton Davis III with the Patriots, 3 years, $60 million. So they improve a little bit. Darius Slay to the Steelers, 1 year, $10 million. So a good signing for that secondary to put with Joey Porter Jr. Nate Hobbs with the Packers, 4 years, $48 million. And I'll end on defense on that one because I absolutely love that selection for Green Bay. I flat out said the Packers needed to address a lot of things, mainly being re-sign kicker McManus, stabilize that. We did that. We brought Isaiah McDuffie back, so our linebacker room looks good. I said we needed to address offensive line, rather be free agency or the draft. We did that. I said we needed to address the corner room because Jair seems unhappy. Will he be there? Will he not? And then, of course, we're looking at Keyshawn Nixon being our best corner. So now we have Nixon and Nate Hobbs, who's played slot and on the outside, so he seems to be more of a versatile corner. Hopefully he can stay healthy. He's missed some games in his career, so health is a little bit of a concern, but he's a very versatile corner. He has multiple snaps at slot and outside. So Josh Jacobs said that he was looking to get some boys in here, and the Packers got better in free agency this year as well with Nate Hobbs and Banks at guard. And then, of course, that really wraps up the big signings in free agency. So I'm looking at out here the Packers. The NFC North is absolutely stacked. The Bears did a lot of moves with their offensive line. Like I said, the Lions got DJ Reed and improved their team. The Vikings got some offensive linemen with Fry and some corner help as well. So, and the Packers obviously improved their offensive line and their defensive back room as well. So the whole NFC North is really the hardest division in football. That is an up-in-the-air division and really a scary division to play in. The Steelers, I'm a bit concerned with the Steelers right now because, yes, they go out and get DK Metcalf, and they have George Pickens now, who still need... But my thing is this. You go out and get another receiver when your main receiver, who's already there and proved he's a great Steeler, is unpaid, and you let your running back walk, so you're going to let Warren go as the main running back, obviously. And I believe the Steelers did sign, let me see here, I believe they signed another running back, correct me if I'm wrong on that. But you let your main running back go so you can go get another receiver, but you don't have a quarterback to throw to the receiver. Mason Rudolph and Skylar Thompson are your two quarterbacks, and you're flirting with the idea of Aaron Rodgers. You don't pick early in the first round, so all the good quarterbacks are going to be gone by the time you pick in Pittsburgh. So really, you're looking at Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson again. Not a boat you really want to be in. I thought Pittsburgh would want to get younger at the quarterback position, and it seems like quarterback purgatory still for Pittsburgh. So I'm not very fond of what they've done with their quarterback situation in Pittsburgh. Sorry to say that, JB. Hoping for the best for them, but it's a nightmare quarterback situation right now for Pittsburgh. And I don't really understand. The market did not go how I thought it was going to. I thought Fields would stay put, a stable organization. You're in Pittsburgh. You have a winning Super Bowl head coach. You have good weapons around you. You're young. You had success with this team last year. I thought that was the perfect answer. And then he goes to a clown show of New York where I'm not very confident. I think Fields is a talented player. But all NFL players are talented. I'm not convinced that New York's going to even get half of what he's capable of doing because it's a clown show organization. Half of it ends up where you end up. And, of course, Sam Darnold, I love what Seattle did. They rehauled a lot of things. They missed the playoffs last year. So they're looking to change some things up. And I really love what the Chargers did at running back with Najee Harris. That's probably the most underrated signing. And Cooper Kupp getting them a hometown guy as well. And, of course, but really the best move of all of this is Devontae Adams of the Rams. The Rams are a Super Bowl contending team. I think they are easily favorites because the Niners roster has been gutted. They lost all their free agents. That's what happens when you have to, when last season happens. I mean, shit show of a season last year, things don't go as planned. You end up losing a lot of free agents. You can't pay everybody. So, of course, the Brock Purdy negotiations as well, you're looking at paying him. So here we are with the Niners again. They have a chance to re-gut their roster. They have a lot of draft picks. Niners are probably going to regress a little bit. Cardinals probably aren't ready to overtake the Rams yet. Seattle's probably the second best team in that division. But, of course, can Sam Darnold win in the NFL without a massive roster of talent around him and an offensive coach? Can he go to Seattle with a defensive coach and win? We shall see. But again, that's all for the Wave 1, as I said, of NFL free agency. We covered a lot today. So again, that's all I got. College basketball is ramping up. We are in tournament time now, so March Madness, we'll see the bracket coming out very soon. It's that time this weekend. So keep an eye out for our March Madness bracket that will be next. Me and JD will be doing that. So again, that's all I got. Until next time, go Pat, go. Let's go Heat. Oh, it's a mess. We're not even playing on team this year. And Bull up, baby. March Madness time. Let's go win Cincinnati.